IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
I have to tell you, I really do love that. Listener discretion is advised, because if you're not willing or ready to release your inner superhero, you're in some deep caca. Welcome and thank you for stopping by the 329th episode of the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com. You're into All Natural Being and the gong heard round the world. Broadcast, as it happens, thanks to the good folks at Wirecast, here on IPMNation.com, and now multicast live on Facebook, YouTube, over on allnaturalbeing.com, and of course on the new Brian Brawdy app. But however you come to hang with us, we're always pumped to have you. Always live from the Transitional Radio Uplink here in Columbus, Ohio. I know it's an uplink. We're pretty fired up. And, of course, the rebroadcast are on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, all the other usual suspects. Greetings wherever you are here in the Garden of the Mortals. What a gig it is, winning or whining. It's totally up to you and me. Because life, it's your labyrinth, your shot at running the table, diving the rabbit hole as you see fit, not somebody else's pigeonhole. The hell with your critics. What do they know? What? They're more of an expert on you unleashing your unique. They're more of an expert on your wild at the core than you are. It's time to own your primal scream, not place it in the junk drawer, front and center, right up front where it belongs. That's why we're always putting your heart's highest priority where? Top of the list. Reinstalling and reinstating the true wit, wisdom, and wallop, schmack, of your inner whisper. Rebooting your robust, finding your ferocious, all in time to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate can deal you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold once and for all. But before we hit it this evening, and we have an action-packed evening, I want to say hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, Colombia, Greece, Ireland, Peru, Poland. To those of you joining us from all over the globe, it's great to have you with us, and I truly am fired up today to be driving your bandwagon, to be your virtual hitchhiker if you're on the go, to be your biggest fan, to be, as I say, every day, avidly you. Why let anyone hijack your cognition, play you like a sock puppet? The days of needlessly torturing yourself by being someone else's tool, they're over once you decide to take life into your own hands. What are we waiting for? Here's your opportunity to mortal up. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And before we get to it tonight, I talk about this all the time, where everyone says, oh, you just be you, but don't do a political show, right? They're like, yeah, well, you don't want to do a political show. There's enough political shows everywhere. Just don't do it. Just let it go. And then the lunacy that is the legislative branch, the mashugana, right? That is just the absolute egomania that is the executive branch. Just all of this. Now you throw in the judiciary. Good golly, what a great day in politics. But I got to call out one little thing that I'm not going to talk about because we're not going to talk about politics. So we won't at all be discussing tonight Cory, I am Spartacus Booker, calling for the release of every document he could imagine, just release, right? Transparency. I'm all over it. If it's written down, show the American people you work for us, I would say, if I were talking about politics. And then today, Adam Shifty from over on the West Coast, going, oh no, now that the executive branch is causing or calling for the release, ordering, right? Because you're the big guy. You get to decide what's classified and what isn't. So declassifying the documents that led to this, a lot of this craziness that's going on. So Adam Shifty, oh no, no transparency, time out. We can't do that. If we were talking politics tonight, we'd go, Adam Shifty, baby, what are you talking about? Right? Because then on the other side, you have Cory Aegis, I am Spartacus Booker, going, we want transparency. I'm going to fall on the sword if they evict me from the Senate. Well, I'm hoping at least they validate my parking, I think is what he finished. They cut the mic before he finished the rest of the sentence. So all I'm asking, if we were going to talk about politics tonight, you can't make this stuff up. You could, if you were a writer and you sat down and go, oh, I'd like to do a situational comedy. You could not come up with Cory, I am Spartacus Booker, and Adam Shifty, don't let them see what the documents have to say, from the great state of California. You just couldn't make it up. So I guess there's a good part of me that's glad we're not going to talk about politics tonight, right? Right? Because that way they can hold it against me. They can say, oh, no, he didn't talk about politics. Oh, he may have mentioned what he wasn't going to talk about, but he didn't talk about politics. All right. So before we hop in the thread, here's what I would like to talk about tonight. You know, thank you very much. Oh, Wayne, I just got that. Sorry, did you just email me? I just got it. Well, that's not going to make it in. Sorry, brother. What I did want to talk about this evening, let me get over here and figure out what I can do to lower my own volume. What I did want to talk about this evening is, have you ever heard this concept of friendly force identifiers? Good evening, Candace. Let me say hello quickly. Thank you for joining us. Wayne, thank you so much. I just got your email now, brother, so I won't be able to implement that. But thank you for just volumes of hard work today, Wayne. Thank you so very much for everything you do to help me look. Again, as I've said many times before, if it looks professional, give the credit to Wayne Noel. If it looks like, how the hell did he do that? Oh, that's Brian. You can give that to me. Let me say hello to Janile. Janile, thank you so very much for watching us here at All Natural Being. Hello to everyone joining us. And of course, we're not going to be talking about politics tonight, so we got that out of the way. But what are we going to talk about? I got to tell you, it's killing me. It's all I can do to keep from talking about that all night long. Transparency. Oh, please. In any event, what I would like to talk about is in the military. You may have heard the term, if any of you have served or any of you are family members of people that served, or you may be just hanging out talking to friends that have been in the military, about what a blue force is, the friendly force identifiers. We talked about it briefly this morning, which is going to kind of be our MO from now on. We're going to talk a little bit. Thank you, Candace, very much. I know it's killing me. It's just killing me. It's killing me. In any event, we're going to be talking about in the mornings, and then, look, it'll give me all day long to kind of kick it around in my own mind, and then we'll talk about it later at night here in All Natural Being. But for Bring Your Own Bold, 7 a.m. Eastern in the mornings, we kind of throw out what tonight's topic might be, let's say. So one of the things we talked about this morning is the blue force. If you're mixing it up with an enemy, right? But you have friendlies within that crowd. It's just a way of identifying friendlies so they don't get caught in the crossfire, right? If you go, oh, I'm going to mix it up with life, I need to know where the blue forces are. I need to know where the friendly forces are. I need to know who are those people I can count on to cover my six or to watch my back or to mix it up when I need some help. Not like these security guards that watch cops roll around on the ground taking pictures. Oh, here, let me get it. I think I'll post it to Instagram, right? And the cop's going, hey, will you come and help me? Good evening, Rita. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're basically just talking about what we're not going to talk about tonight. That's the open, that just to catch you up in the opening 10 minutes. But what we will talk about, not about Adam, Mr. Transparency Shifty from California, or Corey, I am Spartacus Booker from who knows where he's from. East Coast, I suspect, somewhere, I think. I don't know, really. We're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is identifying your blue force, your friendly forces, those things that you know that when the caca hits the fan, you know you can count on them. They're on your side. They're on your team. And I would hope, before we get into all this, I would hope that the people here in the thread know. Good evening, Henry. Thank you for joining us. I know, Rita, which topic? The one I'm not allowed to talk about, the politics or the friendly force identifiers? The Weather Channel. We could talk. Oh, really, Candace? I can't believe you did that to me. The Weather Channel. We could talk about the Weather Channel. Has anyone seen? Hello, brother. How are you? Has anyone seen the Weather Channel video? Before we get to friendly force identifiers, let me tell you what a friendly force identifier isn't. Maybe that would be a good way of setting up the blue force, right? For those of you that aren't familiar with it. Let me tell you what friendly force identifiers are not. Maybe that would be a good way. Did you happen to see Candace's, I think this is what she's referring to, when she talks about the Weather Channel, the weatherman out there busy just battling every way he can to stand up in the wind and the rain and what you cannot talk about. I know, Rita, it's killing me. Believe me. It's killing me. In any event, right? He's standing up there. He's facing the weather and he's just for you, right? Just for you. He's going to stand there in horrific winds and rain and hail and flying reptiles and, all of it. And then, if you're watching the video of this brave soul, I am Spartacus in the Weather Bureau, right? Kind of like the Coriolis, but not like the Cory Booker effect, right? It depends on northern and southern hemisphere, but you get where I'm going with the Coriolis thing. And so he's standing there and he's braving the weather and the winds are beating him back. He can barely hold his microphone up to his mouth. And then what what blue forces aren't are the two guys that walk right behind him on a live shot. Two guys walking down the street. And surprisingly enough, no one that I could find have said, well, those two guys were time travelers, right? They were like aliens that dropped in from another dimension. They didn't realize. Thank you, Wayne, very much. Is that it, Wayne? Thank you for putting that up there in case anyone hasn't seen it. Maybe they were time travelers. Maybe they just plopped in. I don't know how time travel works, but right? Maybe they just plopped in and they didn't realize. But here's this guy. And what kills me even more after the fact, the Weather Channel, right? We all want a boss that comes to our aid. We all want a boss that comes to our defense. I would think the Weather Channel says, well, he was standing on slippery grass. Yeah, you got to watch that grass. It'll make you talk smack all the time. I can tell you that much. I'm told. I wouldn't know, right? Well, except for simply to recognize its effects when I was in law enforcement. But you get what I'm going with this. Marcellus, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. All the things we're not talking about tonight. Politics is one. Can't talk about the weather. Although that was pretty good. Wayne, thank you very much for putting that up. Like, again, maybe time travelers, aliens, people from another dimension. They just happened to drop in. But not this guy. And then the Weather Channel defends him. Oh, he had been up all night. Agreed. I get that. Well, he was standing on really slippery grass. Why? He was like, there was a sign that said sidewalk closed, right? Right here. There was a sign that says sidewalk closed. So he decided not to stand there, not to get the footing. Is that what it was? Good evening to you, Marcellus, as well. Candace, is that true? The Loch Ness Monster was spotted there? Jamie, hello. Nice to see you. Thank you, my friend. Deborah Lee, thank you so very much for joining us. And I had made mention of the fact that the show brought to you, as always, by the good folks at Telestream's Wirecast. Deborah Lee, instrumental in helping myself and Wayne and the people involved in it figure out exactly what we're going to need to do for the 81 to win. We'll be talking about that a little later. But Deborah Lee, hey to you as well. Thank you so very much for hanging out here with us on All Natural Being and everything that, as I said, Wirecast has done to get this little show up and on the air, broadcast live now to like Facebook and YouTube. And, Wirecast has this new cloud service, so we'll be able to broadcast everywhere. You'll be like, can I get away from that guy? That's what's going to happen. Marcella says, shh, don't tell everyone he's an alien. So maybe he popped in. I want to quickly thank John. We were doing some testing today with some of the graphics. And, we do the testing, and I'm having a bad shunt day the last couple of days, to be honest. A little bit of truth in advertising, where they can't seem to figure out exactly what's going on with the spinal fluid. Sometimes it ebbs, sometimes it flows. But in any event, so I'm working through all that. And at one point today, I'm working with Wayne, and we're doing all this stuff. Good evening, Lee. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. Very excited about Wednesday night show. Lee will be on then. We'll talk about it a little more, but for Leeward Wednesdays, we've got a really cool show planned for this coming Wednesday. So in any event, Wayne and I were working a little bit today, and I thought I had clicked the signal off. So I go, complain about my shunt a little, talk to the doctor, get a sip of some water. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And all of a sudden I get a text. And he goes, hey, you're still, do you know you're live on YouTube? So for like an hour, I just left the signal going. So thank you very much. It might still be going, John, if it weren't for you. So thank you very much for letting me know. Lee says, hello, all Henry. I think silence is all we can talk about. Right, Henry? That's about it anymore. Now here, I know I'm only going to get in trouble, so let me get this out before anyone that will yell at me comes on the thread. I normally can say, good evening, Brother Wallman. Let me just congratulate you, because did I see somewhere where you had a case and you eventually won that case or won some stage of that case? So congratulations if I'm supposed to say that, congratulations, if that's appropriate. But one of the other things, Henry says maybe silence is the only thing that we can't or that we can talk about anymore. And I started thinking about this poor guy have you seen this? I have a Dremel and I can fix your shunt for free. Thank you very much. I like that. Yeah. Right, it might never leak again. That'd be good. My head will just explode like a big balloon. But no, a Dremel. Oh, and maybe a couple cans of Fix-A-Flat. Or at least, have you seen that Flex Seal? The guy saws a boat in half, puts Flex Seal on it, goes right across the lake. But they can fix a boat with a hole or with a cut in half, and they can't plug a human skull? Yeah, I'm with you. So maybe we'll try the Dremel, some Fix-A-Flat, and maybe we'll pack some dirt in there and see if that will work as well. But in any event, this poor guy, I'm assuming it's a poor guy. Now, I don't know because, right, I don't want to be like everyone else that says, oh, I know what he was thinking, and how do I know he wasn't thinking this? But this poor guy, apparently there's a symbol, which is why I'm going to start duct taping my fingers. I brought some duct tape down. I just don't have it with me, but I'm going to start duct taping my fingers together whenever I do a show. Jamie says duct tape, always a winner. Thank you very much. Or maybe just I'll wear boxing gloves when I do the show, because this guy that was removed, I guess I'd lead a shallowed life, but I guess there's a symbol that now some people say is a dog whistle. If you make this figure with your hands, it's a signal for white supremacists. I guess. I don't know. Apparently, during the Kavanaugh hearings, she was scratching her arm, and they said, "Oh, that's that's the dog whistle. That's a call out to white supremacists." Brother Wallman, yes, I got my disability approved. Now I can fix my spine. Congratulations, absolutely congratulations. Don't forget, but let's get your spine fixed, and then we'll meet with the Dremel. So apparently this poor woman who was, just lambasted in social media because it was a white supremacy, turns out she's not white and it wasn't, she was scratching an itch. Well, then there was this other thing on the Weather Channel where some bigwig, I don't know if you happen to see this, Wayne, if you're there because you're throwing up links all evening long, I appreciate that, Wayne. This poor guy is I think he's just tired and he's resting on his hand. He's resting on his, he's like this, resting on his hand. Well, there's someone, they're doing a live shot, and then he's like this, resting on his hand, and someone said his fingers had made that same white supremacist. So they relieved him of duty and this and that. I didn't see how the rest of the story worked out. If anyone else knows about it, please let me know. Marcus, thank you so much. Nice to see your icon, your avatar pop up, as always. Thank you so much for joining us here at All Natural Being. If you've heard about this particular story, but it was a Coast Guard guy. And I have to tell you, if I fall, like during the 24-hour, I'm lucky that they didn't catch me falling asleep and someone go, did you see that? That was a dog whistle. That was a signal. He's calling out to former Irish cops with hair lips. Whatever. And I don't know the guy. I don't know the young lady that was sitting behind Judge Kavanaugh. Maybe, I don't know. But it seems there's a lot of that kind of thing going on where is there any more innocent until proven guilty? Guy was relieved of command. I don't know if you're sitting behind someone working a computer for the Coast Guard, I don't know how much command you're actually in, but he was relieved of duty and this and that and everything else. And I thought, the poor guy's just holding his head in his hands. I didn't see it. So then we can go back to Blue Force, friendly force identifiers. The sign, someone said he looks like an okay sign, very common, even when your hand is at rest. I thought so too. And I couldn't get, because like, if I put my hand like this and I went ahead and I had an ingrown hair, right? Because I hadn't shaved right or something, and I went like that, then people are going to go, oh, that's a dog whistle. There's your signal right there. There it is. That's Brian. Hi, Marcus, to you as well. So I don't know. I think when we talk about Blue Force, friendly force identifiers, one of them would be people with thick skin. People that don't let those types of things derail them, right? People that think, oh, I'm going to be outraged. I'm going to be offended. I'm going to be mortified. I'm going to be all these other things. Marcellus says, I've seen the picture and the poor guy was simply resting his head on his hands. Marcellus, does that not how it looked? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't get out enough, but I didn't see how that was a symbol. I didn't think that was flashing a symbol to anybody. I'm with you. I thought he was just resting on he was tired. Been working at a computer. The tornado, a hurricane, all of it, right? So I felt, when I saw that, I go, okay, so let's not make that a friendly force. Let's not make that a Blue Force identifier. Say good evening to Richard. Richard, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. Henry says, hey, in politics, guilty, proven guilty, yet still in office. Oh, wait, we can't talk about politics. Yeah, and I'd love it, Henry. Just text me or call me and tell me anything that I can't say, right? And then I'll tell everyone what I can't say, and we can get away with it either way. All right, speaking of calling in, 833-GO-BU, new graphic. Thank you very much, Wayne. But here's the thing. By the time I load the graphics now, we realize there's a 12-second delay, so I'm supposed to count to 12, right? So what else can we talk about? I said hello there. 7. And then, long about then, okay. Then I can say, hey, Brian, join Brian as he takes your calls. 833-GO-BU. 833-462-3968. Look at that. What timing. So give me a call, 833-462-3968, 833-GO-BU. And I also want to thank, quickly, as you can see, the big clock now, a couple different clocks here in the studio. Thanks to our good friends at Sales Copy Academy for everything, keeping us honest in terms of the time. Thank you very much for all that. Super appreciate it. Just so you know. Candace says, don't use your fingers. I absolutely agree, Candace. Absolutely. But, right, so I don't even know what's safe anymore. It's like Henry says, you can't talk about anything. Marcellus, I would agree with you. It seems that there are a good number of people that are looking for something to gripe about. Right? Thin skins, looking for a reason to be offended. Looking for a reason to be outraged. And I think why it grabs me from time to time, while I sit up and take a look, is that we're just training an entire generation to feel like it's okay to be victimized. To feel like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and let someone, target me. And as you know, we've talked about this before on the show. It's not that you're targeted. We're all going to be targeted. The key becomes, how are we going to bring the counterpunch? How do we stand up to the mashugana? Granted, to our own binge thinking, right? To our own thoughts. Everyone wants to get to the higher self, a better place, greener grass, blah, 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 blah. But just for a moment, You're absolutely right, Jamie. There's plenty of fodder. I would absolutely agree with that. But getting back to the Blue Force identifiers, what are those things? What are they? Who are they? Where are they? We know the why that they're here because they're here as a cairn. Here, I'll show you over in the studio. I have that pile of rocks. If you look over just to the right of the TV, you see that pile of 5 rocks right there? 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. It's a cairn. So what if blue forces, what if friendly force identifiers are just like cairns that you find out in the wilderness? And they're there to go ahead and show you the way. Well, what if in the labyrinth of life? What if the fingerprints of providence? And we haven't talked about those in a while. Chance, right? Serendipity, synchronicity, right? Luck, fortune, fill in the blank any way you want. But what if, I call them fingerprints of providence. What if those fingerprints of providence, like a cognitive cairn, like the blue force identifiers, the friendly force identifiers, what if they're all around us, but we're so busy being outraged? We're so busy being offended. We're so busy being disgusted. All the different words that come up. We use all that energy. What if our peripheral vision just shrinks to almost nothing? What if we're so outraged that what actually happens is we end up with tunnel vision? And that tunnel vision compels us to miss all the cool things that are going on in life. Good evening, Paula. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. It's nice to see you. Your icon pop up. And we're talking tonight about blue force identifiers. What about those things in life? Where are they? Who are they? What are they? Those little cognitive cairns, those little things, those things that happen in the moment. You would say, Jung would have called them synchronicities. Those little things that happen in the moment that you could go, you know what? That's a tip. I have to look at that. I have to look at that right now and say, hey, is that something that I can be using here in the Garden of the Mortals, here in the labyrinth of my own life? Good evening, Donald. Nice to see you here at All Natural Being. Thanks for stopping by. And good evening. Who is this, please?
Hey, Brian, this is Henry. How are you, man?
Henry, you know what? I was just thinking about you earlier today. I said that if they were ever going to write an operating manual for the human mind, they'd find your name all over the footnotes. Just so you know, I read what you wrote this morning, and I was like, you know what? It's a pretty sharp guy. I don't think I'm allowed to say cracker anymore. Someone said to me the other day, oh, you know what? You shouldn't say cracker. But to me, that just means it's a pretty smart guy. But so I guess I'm allowed to call you a cookie. Well, I don't think that offends anyone. That's a pretty smart cookie. But great job today with what you posted. I like that. So can you go ahead and give me a rundown now that Donald's here? Jamie says, some things seem hard to ignore. I could see. You got to try a little harder, right? Maybe you got to dig a little deeper into your all-natural being to ignore. But what are some of the other things I'm not allowed to talk about tonight, Henry? Could you give me a list maybe of things that I should steer clear of?
Oh, man. Wow, you'd have another 24-hour session.
Oh, I know, right? Impromptu 24-hour marathon. I'm with you. Wait, Jamie, hold on. I'll need to. I don't know if I told you this, Henry, but Jamie called me during the 24-hour marathon. Marcus says, being positive. I absolutely agree. Jamie called me during the 24-hour marathon and wanted me to do air guitar, which I think Joseph Haggerty had mentioned. He called in from Colorado Springs or something. Wanted me to do air guitar. But I thought the song, I didn't realize this. Maybe people from Ohio knew this all along. But it's Hang On Sloopy.
Yes.
I guess Sloopy lived like in Cleveland, maybe. I don't understand. I thought it was Hang On Snoopy, like the cartoon character, and from like when he was fighting the Red Baron. Remember that?
Oh, gotcha.
Hang On Snoopy.
Yes.
I thought maybe he did like a roll, too many G-forces, pulled him out of the doghouse, and they're singing Hang On Snoopy. I had no idea. But in any event, that was probably right there. That was the signal that it was time for me to start counting down the 24 hours and not go for 48. But that's me.
I love it.
All right, Henry, so what else aren't we talking about tonight? What we are talking about for sure, brother, is blue force identifiers. Friendly force identifiers, where you're looking for people, places, and things, situations, happenstance that goes to support you, to help you keep your heart's highest priority, top of your list. That's what we're kind of kicking around tonight. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think so. Why don't we just talk about your show? I mean, that's what you do. And, you're giving people the options and the chances to consider the things that really help them in their lives rather than harm them. So, your show ranks right there.
Thank you very much. That's what I had hoped to be one on a long list of blue forces or friendly forces that people will have when it comes, right, to channeling their wild at the core. Because I truly believe, Henry, and I know we have talked about it before, that the future is going to be kind of tough on people that don't bring their passion. I think Patricia had posted something yesterday from, and maybe Rita can help me with it too. Is it Coco Chanel? Coco Chanel?
Okay.
And it says, you want to be beautiful, just let your inner out. Right? Just let your insides out. Then you're going to be beautiful. Well, I've often thought that about your wild at the core. I've often thought that about your all-natural being. The future's going to be a lot kinder to people that are able to stand, square their shoulders, and face whatever. Marcellus is here, so I can use the term chop block. Face whatever attempt fate makes to chop block you. Future's going to be nicer to those folks. But to the timid, the ones that aren't going to fall back on who they truly are, their natural resources, their grit, their wild at the core, future's not going to be as forgiving. At least that's the way I look at it. What say you?
Yeah, I think it's a whole different concept for survival. I mean, you know all about that. You had your adventure tours and understanding what it is to survive. Well, I think this is a whole different concept of survival. It's that same requirement in order to live, in order to understand, in order to learn. We're good. It's a survival thing. If we don't thicken up, if we continue to go down this path of political correctness and this path of hurting my feelings, there's no survival. There is none.
Well, I think a lot about it when people say, oh, that really hurt my feelings. And I thought, well, then you ultimately have to be a co-conspirator, right? For someone to hurt your feelings have to be put out there to be heard in the first place. And I'm not saying that gives us the right to be mean to other people, to say, all kinds of vapid things, just the drool that comes out of some people's mouths. But what is it? It takes two to tango, they say. There's a part of it, or at least as I see it, is that you go, okay, great. I don't think I'm going to fall for it. I'm not going to accept the package. If the postman or the postwoman, right, the post person, the post they, whatever I'm allowed to say anymore, if they have a certified letter, you don't get the letter unless you sign for it. You don't get offended unless you sign for it. You don't get outraged unless you sign for it, right?
You have to invest. You have to invest yourself in it.
That's a much better word. Thank you. Like I said, there was an operating manual for the human mind. Your name would be all over the references, right? You have to invest in it. And I'm saying just keep your portfolio closed, right? Don't invest in it anymore. And just let the people go with all the mean things that they have to say, all of that. You don't have enough time to be a philosophical Sherpa for someone else's crap. I guess that's the point that I was trying to make, so that those people that support and nurture your sense of your heart's highest priority, top of your list, they're your blue force, your friendly force identifiers. Those that aren't. What say you?
Yeah, for me, it's like being the shadow for a shadow boxer. It's you get in the ring and you're not really hitting anything. You're the shadow now. And so you're just simply avoiding all of that stuff. You're not getting harmed. You just let them kind of swing until they've exhausted themselves and just be the shadow.
It reminds me of Muhammad Ali and Rope-a-Dope. When you said that, right? He used to get in there and just, let him swing, and then ting.
That's it.
Ding, check, please. Card him off, right? So I think I don't think Mike Tyson ever had to work that way. I think he just came out and went nuts right from the get-go. Marcus says, absolutely, don't accept others' negativity. And I think that's the point, Marcus, that we talk about here quite a bit on All Natural Being, is that someone says something that you think, oh, I could find that offensive. It's an invitation for you to be offended. And for me, all I'm suggesting is you may want to think, don't accept the invitation. You like those, what is it, Henry, RSVP? What is that? Répondez, s'il vous plaît, if you know French. Then just don't respond. Someone calls you a jackass, don't respond. Someone gets in the middle of road rage, right? I think Candace has agreed. I'm late, but I made it. Darren, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Late is okay with us, brother. Thank you so much. Right? So we just don't respond. Respondez, s'il vous plaît. No, thank you very much.
That's it. I mean, why react? I mean, to me, that's the whole point. We instead of acting, being proactive, we have lived our lives reacting. We wait for somebody to make the move, and then we react to that, or make a comment, and we react to that. If you eliminate the react, there's no argument. And there's no foul. No one's done anything. You can't have an argument with one person. I mean, well, I guess you can. I guess I can do that all the time.
Yeah, it's called binge. It's called binge thinking with me.
I still lose.
Yeah,
So.
I know. I'm just tired of beating myself up. I got to tell you. And here's something else I said the other day that Marcel says. Yes, the rope-a-dope. Marcellus knows what we're talking about. Janelle,
Absolutely.
Welcome back, Janelle. Nice to see your pictures. See Janelle's pictures popping up all over the place. Great work, Janelle. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being again. So when it comes to our Blue Force identifiers, we're gonna look at people that don't send us invitations to have our day derailed, that don't send us, these aren't invites to invest our peace of mind in their mashugana. Right? And just go, yeah, you know what? I think I'll stay out of the fray for right now. I think I'd rather just be happy that I'm still here and I don't need to buy into... You all are good therapy. Well, Jamie, thank you very much. I know most times I could use a good therapist. Jack says, loving it. Jack, thank you very much. Love the symbols too. I got to learn emojis. You said to me the other day, Henry, you go, you really are challenged. And I go, yeah, the list is too long to get into here. There's a lot of things that challenges me, but emojis, I think I've been to Jack, that fourth one on the end, the Shinto, I've been underneath that at Wudong Mountain in China. I recognize that one, to be honest with you. Thank you, Jack, very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. So Blue Force identifiers then, Henry, are those things that aren't going to derail us. Friendly forces, right? Those things that are going to watch our six, that are going to cover our back, that when we take a shot, they're going to be there to help us back up again. And I thank you for saying that you think this show is one, as I hope this show will be a part of a long list of people's Blue Force identifiers. What are some other ones that you could think of? And around we say it could be a who, it could be a what, it could be a where, maybe a when, right? Maybe it could be a when. What's another example would you think of a Blue Force identifier?
Wow. There's so few and so far between. That's the problem. I mean, when you look at mainstream, it's certainly not mainstream media. Let's put it that way. And I believe there are some offshoots, and there's some alternative stations and some alternative talk shows that do a pretty good job in trying to get people in. I think there's a tremendous number of websites that really try to pull people to get their spirit up, to get them to understand that they are themselves. They are who they are. They just have to get rid of all of that mashugana that they've surrounded themselves with, all that negativity, as was mentioned before.
Sure. All that binge thinking. Be comfortable in your own skin. Be thankful that you're still here, right? To even have a position to be comfortable, right?
Well,
a little bit of gratitude.
That's it. Exactly, and I'm hoping that that's what transitional radio will be. We will pull in those that really want to share the best parts of what it is to be human. We've seen all the worst parts. Now it's time to see some of the best parts, and hopefully I'd like to continue that. That's something I'm hoping that you and I can do is continue that whole process to see that come through and come true for people, that they have an avenue to go to listen to stuff that does pump them up and make them positive, or allows them to be positive.
Sure.
No one can make anybody positive, but if you wipe away enough negative, you're left with just the positive anyway. So,
and that's why I say all the time, just lose the amnesia, no more amnesia, because ultimately, and this, Lee and I were talking about this before. I know that I've had conversations with quite a few people here in the thread, this whole thing about being a motivational speaker. If you need all the jumping around and hand clapping, all the bells and whistles and screaming and hollering of a Las Vegas slot machine, you're on the wrong path, right? If you're either your own motivational speaker, or this one guy that's really popping around. I'm the greatest speaker in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd work on that tonality a bit if I were you, but okay. Yeah, you're the greatest speaker in the world. What do I know, right? But I think about this. Oh, motivation. Isn't it important? And then if you look at the number of people that say, oh, but about an hour and a half, day and a half, week or so after the motivational speech, it just seemed to wear off. Well, your wild at the core doesn't wear off. Your potential, just this side of infinity, doesn't have a shelf life, right? Your ability to be mouth-watering to yourself, that never runs out. So how is it that you need to be motivated to be who you already are? I think that's why I said, I think somewhere, Wayne, tell me if I'm wrong, I think it's maybe on Instagram, where I said, friends don't let friends buy self-help books.
Right.
Right? Becomes shelf help. Was the term someone said to me. You get them all over in your books in your library, but you really, if you remember who you ultimately are, no amnesia. You don't need to be inspired. You don't need to be motivated. Just the fact that you've been left here another day to get up and kick in the doors again, that's all the motivation you need. Henry, what say you?
Yes, I agree. And I think that that's part of the problem that we have. I mean, we've had ego, advertised to so much that it actually controls and runs our lives. And so we have lost who we are. Well, the motivational speakers, that's really great because they get to whitewash you. They get to paint faces on you and
Sure.
and make you feel like you're really important and that for the time being. And then, like you said, a week later, it's worn off and you're no more inspired than you were the day before you went into this motivational conference.
You know what else works? You know what else works like that?
What's that?
You know what else works like that wears off after you get your hit?
What's that?
Heroin.
Oh, yeah.
Cocaine, right? So that's when I call them philosophical pharmaceuticals. It's just that. You get a hit, you feel pretty good, lips tingle, feel a little numb, your heart's racing a little bit, but pretty soon you crash. You're jonesing. You need another hit. Oh, I got to go and buy, which has always amazed me. These motivational speakers, and there's one, but I promised a long time ago I'd stop mentioning his name after we got the email. But it's like a guy who's written 30 motivational books. Oh, and there's another one whose name I'm not supposed to mention, but it's like he's had so many different conversations with the divine that you'd think, yeah, you know what? The divine wanted you to be the stenographer. You think he or she could just get to the freaking point. Conversations 1, 2, 3, conversations with the divine 17, or, I'm enlightened. Okay, well, did it take you 17 books, did it, to figure that out? So when I came up with the term that friends don't let friends buy self-help books, it was for that reason.
Right. And that is what the hard part is in all of this is in trying to me, it's let's root cause. I like the root cause.
Okay.
We were brought here, we were born with nothing but trust, pure trust, and pure love.
Mm-hmm.
Everything after that, we have learned. We've learned all the hatred. We've learned all the discrimination. We've learned the fear. We've learned all of this stuff that has covered up all of our natural, the true love, and the trust we had in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get back to that. It's
Sure.
not. It's not. Happening to live with this, or I got to put up with this, or we don't. Let's just strip this away, and you're left with what we came in here with, and that's where we have to get back to. And it's extremely difficult, and I understand why the motivational speakers go that route. One, because they make a lot of money doing it, because people it's sort of like it's a return customer. You're going to continually go. Well, I felt good at the last one.
Right. Well,
and
all
I'm
drug
gonna go
dealers.
to this one.
All drug dealers want return customers. That's why they fight to hold a street corner.
That's it.
If you want to give us a call, you can call us toll-free, 833-GO-BU, 833-462-3968. If you want to give us a holler, Henry's going to be with us a little longer here as well. We got like 15 minutes left in the show. Henry will be with us. If you want to give us a call, it's toll-free now. We're still working out. Hello, Kelly. Let me say hello to Kelly. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Marcellus says, absolutely, I concur. What we're working on is when you call over to the toll-free number, it will say to you, Marcellus says, I agree 100%, Henry.
Oh, thank you, Marcellus.
There you go. Yeah,
Thank you.
Marcellus is a sharp guy, too. He knows what he's talking about. So if you call in and you get the prompt, it'll just ask you to hit the 0. And then what will happen is that you can hit that 0 and it'll put you right here into the studio. Interestingly enough, and I get, I don't know if you knew this, Henry, but during the 24-hour marathon, Columbus was having some problems, tomato, some problems with their internet. So I know we're getting the remnants now of Hurricane Florence moving through our area, and I noticed that the signal is dropping every so often. So I apologize again for the internet signal. And we were talking about Blue Force identifiers. Marcella says they 100% agree with Henry that everything, which is why I've said all along, everything you've ever needed, you've always had. Right? Those tools, those natural resources, the things that you needed to thrive in life, you've always had. Once we clear, Aldous Huxley's, once we clear the doors of perception.
There you go.
Right? We'll appear as we are, infinite. And I think that's a part of it. So your Blue Force identifiers are anything that reminds you, I would think, of that sense of specialness, that sense of connectedness to the Force. Right?
Yes,
I would
absolutely.
think that's the friendly force identifiers.
Yeah, and it's amazing how we tend to avoid all that. Again, our ego is not going to allow us to go back to that. That's why it's worked so hard to get us where we are now. Now we have been manipulated and we have been ployed with, and they've made this clay model of a person, and that's who we are. But that spirit of us is still sitting back there in our childhood, back to before our childhood as an infant, and that's really what we have to get back to. Let that child in you out, and out comes all of this stuff that goes against everything that we have to deal with now, and what we find so troubling, so challenging in our life. It just goes away. It just doesn't. It's not real. It isn't real.
And Henry, Candace says some people didn't ever have it, but had to find it. So I think I would tweak that a little bit, Candace, and see if I could get you to, I'll meet you halfway and say, we've always had it. For some people, it was just harder to find. Maybe childhood was such that there was more luggage, more baggage, more marble, more shellac, more varnish, right? More stuff piled on top of it. But I think, Candace, possibly we all have it. We were all born with it. Maybe it's the degree to which we're piled on early in life that causes the amnesia to be more entrenched. What would you say, Henry? That causes the opaqueness to be thicker, the baggage to be heavier. But I think if you're here, you have it, right? Outside of the amnesia, if you're here, you still have it.
Yeah, and that's why I go back all the way back to the spark, because, I mean, you could have had a mother that did drugs that while you were still in the room, or drank alcohol while you were still in the room, or just, literally didn't want to have you. We know that. It affects that infant, it affects that embryo. And so, so it can go quite far back, but that initial spark doesn't change. We all have that. Every one of us has had that.
I would agree. Candace says some people never find it. Candace, I would absolutely agree with that some people never find it. Now, who knows how hard they look, where they look, but I would agree with you that there's some people that never find it. And given, that we were speaking last week about it, and just in sense of suicides and for the people that are in the thread that have been touched by suicides of family members or close friends or extended family members or close friends, my sense is those are some of the people that never find it. They never find. I was talking to Josephine here last week on the show. What happens to that still small voice when all the voices in your head are calling for you to take your own life? What happens to that one voice of dissension? What happens to that one no vote? And I think Candace is on to something here, Henry, when she says some people never find it. Some people are never able to hear that voice of dissent when it comes to turning your back on yourself, when it comes to turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to your heart's highest priority. Some people, unfortunately, they're never able to tap into it.
And the hard part is that most of the people aren't even looking for it.
Fair
It's
enough.
just so much, yeah, it's so much easier just to simply blame everybody else. And I mean, well, to give you an idea of looking for it, look at politics. I mean, my God, where in there is this original spark? Where is this belief? Where is this want? It is altruism. It is absolute selfishness. It is all for them, all for the election. I'm sorry, we're not supposed to talk about politics.
That's okay. Yeah, go right ahead. You're a caller. You can talk about whatever you want. I can't. You talk about whatever you like. I like it. You know what? It just dawned on me. You know what I'm going to do? If there's a topic, let me say thank you, Marcus. Marcus says, external influences fog your brain. Boy, isn't that the case. Look within yourself. The stillness brings clarity. Absolutely, Marcus. So, Henry, you just made me think of a way around it.
Oh, good.
I'm just going to call myself.
Oh, I love it.
I know. We have 4 studio lines here.
Yeah.
I'll just call in. Right? I'll just call in. That way I can talk about whatever the hell I want. No one will be able to say, you were going to talk about that. I took a call. Right? Maybe I'll pre-record something earlier in the day. Right? Oh, that's what I'll do. I'll pre-record something. Well, what do you think about what's going on? Right? And then I'll answer, and I'll go, hey, sorry. It's well within the scope of the redirect. I was simply answering a caller's question.
I love it.
I might do that. I'm crazy enough to just think that I could pull that off. Probably never going to happen, but I could still think I could pull that off. Right. So, Henry, I know you got some traveling coming up. Matter of fact, I thought about you in the open because pretty soon here, I'm going to be able to talk about hello to our friends in the United States, over the equator, and in Ecuador. So I'll just have to time where you're going to be in flight so that I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because if there's Wi-Fi on the plane, you could listen,
Oh, that's cool.
There you go. You can listen. I'll call.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'll give you a call out over the equator.
No, that would be fun. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I am the virtual hitchhiker. You can take me.
You are. You mean I'm going to find you in the baggage claim?
There you go. The baggage claim. Yeah. Don't worry. A TSA agent, kind of. I'll be there. Jamie, thank you very much. Candace says, I just think some people are lost souls and are not as fortunate to figure out what life is about. You know what, Candace? I don't think anyone here can disagree with that. I think there are some people that you're right. They're just not in this lifetime, right? They're not going to find it. And maybe there's something to being born again. Maybe there's something into reincarnation. Maybe there's something of past lives. Maybe there will be another attempt. For me, I just don't get into the fray. Henry, when it comes about, well, what do you think about past lives? What do you think about future lives? What do you think about the seventh heaven? What do you think about this or that? I'm too busy just trying to make the best run out of this run. My friend Patricia travels all over the world. She's taking cruise ships. She could be on a cruise ship now for all I know. She travels here and travels there. And I often think about, she's on a cruise, let's say, to Alaska. Well, she's not in the middle of the cruise going, oh boy, I can't wait. That cruise to the Bahamas, that's going to be something else. Well, I hear they have a all-you-can-eat chocolate float over at the food bar. Who does that, right? It's like going on a cruise, 21-day cruise. You spend all kinds of money. You get the best room in the place. Then you close the blinds and lock yourself in the bathroom for 21 days. Who does that, right? Or you're on a cruise going, oh, yeah, that cruise of Greece, boy, is that going to be something. As soon as I get out of Antarctica, that cruise, let me tell you, that one's going to be something special. No one does that. Who would do that? That's all we're talking about. I forgot. We're not talking about politics. No, Marcellus,
right.
You can talk all you want, brother, please. It's your call. I think the POTUS, his cheese has slid off his cracker. Okay, well, I know of other people that might think that very same way, Marcellus. I know of other people, and I have to, in the interest of absolutely full disclosure, I love the fact that we have, that it sparked all kinds of people that are not career politicians. I think The Rock should run. The guy that played the Tooth Fairy. The mixed martial artist guy, the boxer guy, the wrestler guy, Henry? The Rock. Yep. Was it Dwayne Johnson? He says he might run. I think it would be great. Marcus says, live in an hour. Lee says, what life is about is relative. That's why you shouldn't listen to a motivational speaker. Should be like, oops, that's okay. I do it all the time, Lee. Right?
Exactly right.
In terms of it being relative, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, and thank you. That's it. And and like Marcus is correct, live in the now. I mean, yes, do we have to plan for stuff? Yes, of course we do. I mean, this is part of what life is all about. But if you don't enjoy now, if you don't really take in the now, you just can't do it. I liken it. I brought up the bird scenario. When a bird is sitting on a branch, when it leaves that branch, does it really know where it's going? Does it know what's the next branch it's going to land on or where it's going to get its food? Absolutely not. It just talk about leap of faith. Up it goes, and that's pure living in the now. To me, that's the best example I got of living in the now. When that bird leaves, it doesn't know where it's going to land. Sure. It just finds a place to land.
Well, that's what I love about the abyss, right? Or you can look at the now as magnify the moment. What's coming at you right now in this particular moment in all of time? What if I'm not nuts, right? I mean, clearly, but I could be. But what if I'm not crazy? What if everything you've ever needed you have access to right now in this particular moment in all of time, right? Right now, that every possible thing. And someone says, oh, you mean like there was some movie, I guess, Keanu Reeves, Marcus will be able to help me here. In any event, they were fighting I don't know, they're in a big computer generation or something. But as the guy walks, or maybe it was some other movie, but as he walks, every time he goes to put his foot down, ground appears underneath it. It looks like he's walking just on thin air till his foot lands, and then his step appears.
Yes.
And that's all I'm talking about living in the labyrinth, in the garden of the mortals. What if every moment, in any particular time, every instant you need presents itself right? The Matrix. Thank you, Marcus. The Matrix. Thank you, Marcus, very much. Right? So, and I forget, Marcus, you remember who it was walking in any event. I don't know if it's a good guy or a bad guy, but every time he took a step, his foot went from falling on thin air to materialize to what his next step was supposed to be. And I think it's a lot. You put it a lot more poetically than I did, Henry, but that's the poetics of the bird lifting off the branch. Maybe he doesn't know where his worm is.
Right.
Maybe you never can tell. But what if the human mind were focused in the same way? What if everything is a little clue, a little synchronicity, a little serendipity, right?
Exactly. Well, that's in where I talk about creating your own path. If you're walking on a path that's been laid out in front of you,
right?
It's not your path.
It's a motivational. It's the motivational speaker's path.
You
right.
take a step.
Right.
And that falls exactly with what you're talking about, because that's really what our life is about. We've just been brainwashed into believing that that's our path out there. It's not. Our path we create every moment, every time we take a step. And that's the part we really have to start learning, that we are in control of our life. So long as we take control back from ego, we are in control of our life.
And that abyss is not nearly as scary as it looks on its face. In the quest of the Holy Grail, the author goes in to quite great detail when they said that they searched, they took off in search of the Grail, the knights, right, of the Round Table. It makes it very, very clear that in countless different ways, but they entered the forest where there was no track nor path, or they set into the forest where the way was lost, or, into the forest where it was dark.
Yep.
So it just meant that they didn't know where they were going, that particular moment in all of time. Marcus and Marcellus, thank you very much. The Matrix, absolutely right. That particular moment in all of time would tell them an up, a down, a left, a right, a pivot, a swerve.
That's exactly right.
All cul-de-sacs, no dead ends.
Why follow the path of someone else that didn't succeed in doing what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. Because it's their path, which I think is my complaint about motivational speakers and inspirational speakers, right? If you need to be inspired, it's not you're wild at the core. If you need to be motivated, if you need a cattle prod, chances are you're not on the wrong path. Just saying.
That's right.
Just saying. All right, Henry. So I know, quickly, because I know we're going to get ready to run here in a moment. I know you have to travel. Let me thank everyone for joining us this evening on All Natural Being. I know we're getting ready, probably next week, I'm thinking, Henry, will be the official launch of the Transitional Radio webpage, which is really kind of cool because I don't even know if you know this, Henry. You want a little bit of breaking news about your own website?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you.
Yeah, please. No charge. I owe you. Transitional Radio will be the one spot that you can go to get all of the different video riffs that we do. Early Morning Meme, the Good Night Soundbite, Bring Your Own Bold, All Natural Being. Wayne's worked it out so that you get live, you get the video feeds only.
Wow.
All of them on Transitional Radio.
Well, thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Let me see. Darren says, watching a chipmunk do his thing last Sunday morning while sitting in the woods, rubbing my bare feet.
Love it.
Very nice. I like it. I'd like to know what the chipmunk... You should also let us know, Darren, watching a chipmunk do his thing. That would be cool to know. Also, Marcel says, I love the show as always and like to hear from the TV show, The Hill Street Blues. Be careful out there. Remember the big sergeant, the big tall sergeant guy. And you know what, Marcel? I was a cop at the time. Yeah, when Hill Street Blues was on TV, I was a cop, so I remember that very well. Sarge would go, hey, and one of the cops' names was Andy, who was always in trouble, and they'd all stand up and go, hey, 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 be careful out there. So that's what we're going to leave with. Oh, look at the time. Again, thanks to Lee, Rowley, and all the good folks at Sales Copy Academy. The time says we are up. Henry, we're going to get out of here. Travel safe, brother, and would it be like Thursday maybe before you're back on air?
Yes, it would probably be Thursday.
Thursday. Have an absolutely safe journey. Please tell Rita we said the same, and we will talk to you then.
You got it.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Good.
Have a great evening.
Good night, brother. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We'll be back tomorrow morning for your Bring Your Own Bold, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Also, we're going to have the morning meme, the early morning meme, the Good Night Soundbite. We're ramping those back up, too, for the members, the All Natural Being members, and they'll go out onto our private page starting tomorrow. They go out in the morning and the evening right to that page. Darren, thank you so very much. I super appreciate it. As I say all the time, you are the reason that the show is gaining in popularity and what am I trying to say? Gaining in numbers. So thank you so very much. And thank everyone here in the thread. Lee says, safe travels, Henry Noel. I would echo that as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We'll look forward to seeing you bright and early tomorrow morning. If not, then tomorrow night. Thank you so very much.
IPMNation.com.